think for this, we need to take a step back. I think a lot of people forget that, all of us in some way or other are subject to AML requirements, whether you're a fintech or not. So there's laws around organized crime, drug trafficking, and so on, which requires or criminalizes indeed the dealing in criminal proceeds, right? And there's obligations, or you and I, or fintechs, or whoever operates in the market to report suspicious transactions related to such transactions. So that's number one. People tend to forget that. Number two, there are no specific fintech laws in Hong Kong. So what you need to do is then look at how your business as a fintech fits in within the existing regulatory framework, right? So if looking at sort of the more standard fintech business models, a lot of them are in the payment space or in related financial services spaces. So you need to look at, are you a money service operator, which a lot of people in the payment services would or might be? Are you in the security space? Are you a broker-dealer or other financial services intermediary? So you go through that analysis, and that really determines whether you need to apply for a regulatory license. And most of financial services regulated entities will then be subject to FATF standard AML requirements, which means that they have to do proper due diligence on their clients, they have to monitor transactions flowing through them, they have to report, they have to train their staff, etc., etc. I did say that there's no fintech-related laws in Hong Kong. That is subject to change. So the government consulted recently on an amendment to the local AML legislation, which will mean that certain virtual asset service providers, so people operating in the digital asset space, and in this instance, those that operate what are so-called virtual asset exchanges, will be subject to a regulatory licensing regime, which will be overseen by the SFC, which will mean that these types of entities will be subject to the full range of AML requirements that I spoke about, so client due diligence, etc., etc. Why is this happening? This is because in 2019, the FATF, which is the international body that sets the standards for AML and terrorist financing laws, of which Hong Kong is a member, has essentially said that virtual asset service providers should be regulated for AML purposes in the same way that traditional financial services providers like banks are.